Getting ready to power up.
Prepare your mind for diving into a dive
as we buck up and traverse through a Weaver Gate
straight into a place where we're making
new mythologies
for a new generation.
We are
mainstream independent.
We are
the POWERVERSE,
and this is
the POWERVERSE
Info Cast.
Welcome, one and all, to the POWERVERSE Pod Info, whatever. Let's get the name right? The POWERVERSE Info Cast. Yes. We haven't done many of these, so the name has to get into the brain and repetition. Yes, it is I, your host, Vince White, today, and we're going to cover a couple of things, many things actually, from everything from what I've read recently, to what's going on in the POWERVERSE, things that are happening out in the media, and what we got going on as far as our Kickstarters and everything like that. It is the holiday edition, Christmas. Everybody had a wonderful Christmas. Today is December 29th. We are about to head into the new year, 2017. We got 2 days to the first. Man, has this year gone by fast. It is something to watch the weeks and months peel off. Also, forgive me, I have a stuffy nose. I've been trying to get rid of this thing now for a while. The change of seasons and winters is not kind to me, nor my allergies and my asthmatic symptoms from time to time. But fortunately, I have not had any bad episodes this winter, which is good. But it has definitely been something for the allergies. That being said, let's move on along to what I read this week. And this is what we read. All right, yeah. I actually picked up some comic books from the comic shop this week, and I was surprised that I went all ethnic. I went all ethnic from the major big guys. Okay, I wanted to see what these books were like because I hadn't really supported them. I really hadn't bought a comic from mainstream comic book in you're talking years now. I've been such an indie guy, wrapped up in the indie market, supporting indie creators and loving creating new mythologies for a brand new generation. But that being said, I picked up Moon Girl. I also picked up the Iron Man with Riri. Riri, I forget her last name, but Riri Johnson. I picked up Black Panther and something called Mosaic. First off, I actually loved Mosaic. Mosaic number 1 makes me want to get Mosaic number 2. And as I tell some of my creators, your only job in an issue is to get them to get the next issue. If you might feel you want to tell this story or that story or that's this story, or whatever, right? All these things are important to you. But really, the idea is to get them to get the next issue. Because if they don't get the next issue, all these things that you have planned will never be seen. So, Mosaic number 1 made me want to get Mosaic number 2. And by golly, I'm going to get it. It was a fresh new take on a character of color. I thought was awesome. I being a person of color. Also, oh yes, I just got my ancestry DNA results back, and I am officially a person of color. But I'm actually let me see. I gotta pull this up. It's not shocking but it's interesting. You know, the world has spread its fingers out, and there's a little bit of this and that in everybody's recipe. So officially, I am Nigerian and and British. I am from Nigeria and Great Britain. That is my makeup. But that forms 50% of who I am. I am 36% Nigerian. Go ahead. Boom, 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 boom. I gotta learn more Nigerian, and I am 20% Great Britain. Wow. The rest come from African countries as well. 11% Benin or Togo, 9% Cameroon, 6% from the Ivory Coast and Ghana, and 3% from Africa South Central, like the South Central. You didn't know Africa had a South Central. Rolling on the desert with my homies. Yeah, laid back. With the sun on my camel and the camel on my son. Okay, no. But yeah, so 3% South African South Central hunter-gatherers, which is basically long slung of Africa. Everything from the middle all the way down to the tippy tip is basically that region right there. It sort of encompasses some of the East Coast. I was hoping there was more. I always felt like I had some Egyptian vibe going on, maybe some Sahara desert type thing going on, a little bit of Ethiopia. It does capture a little of the Ethiopia for sure. So, but yeah, 36% Nigerian, 20% Great Britain. What? Once I saw the 20% Great Britain, I was like, look, I want to start colonizing fools right now. I was thinking about like, hey, where is an undeveloped country that I can just move in right now, subjugate, topple whatever little clansmen or warlords they got, and colonize these fools, because it's definitely in the blood. Do what the blood tells you, I guess, right? Do what the blood tells you. No. But yeah, so enough about that. Going back to Mosaic. Mosaic was a really good read. It felt authentic. It's about a basketball player who is sort of guarded over, lauded over by his father. Very typical of two players in the NBA right now. So his father's really controlling his career. His girl, his sweetheart is Snow Bunny. For all y'all who don't know, she's a white lady with blonde hair, blue eyes. He's at the top of the game. He's a #1 NBA player. He has rings, and what happens is, as he's basically touting his skills, his teammates are starting to get a little irritated because they're not getting the credit that they deserve from helping him win these rings. And he breaks down the stats and said, look, before I came here, you guys didn't have any rings. You didn't have double-doubles. You didn't have triple-doubles. You didn't have anything, right? So these wins are all me. I've been voted most MVP and everything, right? And then this girl steps up and starts backing him up, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, his father's spit the yang at the reporters and stuff. It's okay, this is pretty cool. They got him dunking. You know, the art is phenomenal. Love the style. And then all of a sudden he's on the balcony and he's like, you know, I'm living up to this you know, false persona of myself, but I'm really more humble than that. And it sort of wears on me. His girl's telling her, hey, no, you can do it. You know, you can live up to it. You know, she's sort of like money hungry. You know, she's sort of like, she's in it just to shine on his arm. And she can't shine unless he's, you know, this over the top basketball persona, you know. And, you know, the moment that he starts humbling himself, she feels that, you know, maybe she's so shallow that she'll have nothing to shine from, that she needs to be in this sort of circus-like environment, because all she really is a peep show, right? And so she's encouraging him to be more aggressive and less sophisticated, right? And he's struggling with this on the balcony. And I guess I haven't been reading Marvel much lately, but I guess in Marvel, they've really pumped up the Inhuman concept. And I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm telling you guys, from the mouth of Vince White to you, all the listeners of the POWERVERSE InfoCast, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the bomb diggity. That first year was getting its footing, but it's not a sacrificial year, because what they do with it year 2 and year 3 is they go back and they leverage every element from character development and storyline, and they really create some awesome storylines. They really flesh out the Marvel Universe on TV, the background, and they begin to emphasize the importance of the Inhumans, of course, because Sony is it Sony or Fox? Somebody had the rights, you guys know better than I, to the X-Men. I know Sony had Spider-Man. I think Fox had the X-Men, but that might be wrong and debatable. But one of those entities had the rights to the X-Men and not Marvel. And so Marvel was sort of pulling back from that mutant concept, and they started to, really reinforce the Inhuman concept. I don't know about you, but the creator of the Inhumans, which I think was Jack Kirby, oh my God. To me, they're way better than the mutants. They really are. I mean, you have the fact that what they are is they are the offspring of a epigenetic extraterrestrial DNA, a race that were not native to the planet. And this race they were waging a war elsewhere, and they were looking for the means of creating a genetically enhanced warrior race or army fodder. So they came to Earth, and by mixing their DNA in this formula, they created this Terrigen mist. And this mist would, actually, no, let me go back. No, they inseminated their DNA within mankind to create this hybrid soldier. And this DNA lay late in the mankind's DNA until they were able to come back and activate this DNA to create these warriors for their intergalactic war, okay? This crosses all lines from sci-fi to biblical implications as well, with the Nephilim and the Genesis 6 and everything else. Okay, the Marvel's got some serious material here with the Inhumans, okay? And so I guess this war never took place. So this latent gene is within the population of the world. And they were going to activate these heroes with this thing called the Terrigen Mist. Now, the Terrigen Mist is somehow reawoken on the Earth now that Marvel needs it, right? And it forms these like cumulus clouds and these low pressure fronts, and it will come down and drift down over crowds of people, and people will get activated if they have the gene. You don't know if you're not waiting for puberty. You're not, it's not like the mutants at all. It can happen to you anytime in life, as a baby, as a 60-year-old man, as a grown adult, and it just so happens to happen to this basketball player while he's out on the balcony. And what the coolest thing is, I think it's so cool. When you get hit with a terrigen mist, it causes you to form this like rock-like cocoon over your body, and you go through metamorphosis, and you break out. That cocoon only lasts normally, a few minutes, a few hours at the most. There's been some extreme cases where it has lasted for days. And this is what happens with Mosaic. He gets hit with this mist and he turns into this cocoon. And the doctors, he's got access to all the money because he's an NBA star. They try to keep it hush hush. They don't want the public to know. He just disappears. And they're waiting for him to come out of the cocoon. He hasn't come out. He does not come out. He's it's been like days now, weeks, and his little thought Snow Bunny over there, she's getting all impatient. She's yelling at the father, when is he going to come out? Blah, blah. How is this going to affect his career? And then suddenly there's like a tremor and a surge of energy, and this guy erupts from this cocoon, and he is nothing like what he was before. He's like this black jigsaw puzzle held together by blue energy, and he like tumbles out of the facility. He falls down into this little fat kid. And I was thinking, oh, they're going to do something like Firestorm. He's going to combine with them. And he starts he starts calling himself the fat kid's name in his mind. And he starts calling himself his old name. He's like, no, I'm Tom, I'm Jared, I'm Larry. No, I'm Tom, I'm Larry. No. And he's struggling with himself, trying to figure out what he is. Then, like, the doctor runs out of the facility and sees this kid struggling, and he realizes that the essence of this basketball player is in him. He tries to help the kid, and then the kid transfers into this doctor's body. I don't even know if it was the doctor from the facility or just a random like Asian guy who happens to be a doctor. I think that's what it was. But regardless, it's kind of cool, right? He transfers into the Asian guy's body, and he's like, why am I speaking Mandarin or Chinese or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he starts saying his name, and he's my name. And what you come to find out is that he can transfer into different bodies, and once he's in that body, he can control it if he wants to. He takes on that person's memory, and he knows he has all the skills they have. And there's a certain rule to it. Like, once he's tapped into one person's body, he can't go in it again. He retains those memories for a certain amount of time. And there's somewhere where he can retain them forever. But you don't get to that point. You just know that he is trying to stabilize himself in this this new form, and the way it ends is pretty cool. I was like, man, just the verbiage, the way they spoke, everything was just spot on. Great concept. He's one of those passive characters because he seems to be, because he doesn't seem to be physical, which I think is good too. I think it's good to have some characters, especially characters of color, who are like that. Not all of them have to be physical juggernauts, because it sort of falls into a stereotype. But then when you put them into these sort of passive supernatural roles, then they sort of become supporting characters and not lead characters. But it's all on how you write it. And I would say that, there needs to be some supporting characters. If you're going to start to create characters of color, black characters, Latino characters, Asian characters, whatever, that it's probably best to have a great deal of them be support characters. because what tends to happen is you allow that character time and you allow the audience time to accept that character. They're not threatened by that character. That character becomes a part of the background, then he becomes a part of the storyline, then he becomes a part of the series, and then when he makes that move, or he says that thing, or he saves the day in a different way, he moves up, and you've given them time to accept him, and so they're ready. It's like you have to train a character on the bench and before he steps up to become lead hitter. And sometimes that's good because you can inundate the background with a lot of these characters, and if you handle them right, they will and can be the next lineup. So Mosaic, top of the line for me. Loved it. I recommend you pick it up. Show them that, hey, some of their characters are great. Moon Girl, I sort of tried to get through it. It's okay. I just may not be my type of my cup of tea. Black Panther just seems so boring to me. The art style is so stiff. I see him fighting people in tribal gear. It's like, what? He's fighting. He has infighting in his kingdom, and he's fighting other tribes. I'm like, huh. There's no other white face in the book at all. There's like no diversity, Not to say that there has to be, but I'm thinking like, why can't Black Panther be fighting like, an alien threat that is trying to harvest like the DNA from his people? He tracks it down and he finds out that it's linked to some corporation like in Japan or freaking England, who's trying to tap into this secret, primal DNA pattern that only the Wakandans have. And once they tap into it, they become like one with nature, And he ends up fighting like, some great British guy or, something that takes him from Wakanda out and back again. He's the king. He should be able to hold down his country. And then when there's internal strife, I just think, that's to be expected, but I think when you show a black character who's supposed to be king and he has internal strife in his kingdom, all you're doing is showing that black characters can outrun a kingdom. I mean, I don't know. That's just sort of what I got from it. And I was like, man, this could be a lot better. You see the movie trailers. Yeah, I love how they show the kingdom. I love how they show the people. Then I see them fighting, like in New York City on the freeway. Okay, that's a little different. You're showing him as this character who gets around the world. That's kind of what I was hoping for, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. Riri Williams or Riri whatever. That Iron Man, I actually liked it. I read it. I thought it read well. She has like Iron Man trying to help her out as this AI. Like he's transferred his consciousness into this digital format. They don't know if Tony's alive or dead, or maybe this is how he's going to continue his life and maybe come back to some biological body later. She seems pretty cool. She outsmarts him as he's training her. I didn't see anything wrong with it. In fact, I didn't even see why people were upset about it. I mean, you got Tony Stark, you got new Iron Man, you get to go through this whole new process of learning Iron Man again because she has to learn her armor, and then you get to figure out how she's different from Tony, but Tony is still there. I mean, it's just like you got the best of both worlds. So I didn't get the pushback on that, but that's just me. And sadly, that's the end of what I read this week. And this is what we read. Now that we've gotten past what I read, we can talk about the POWERVERSE. What's new in the PV?
POWERVERSE notes.
The POWERVERSE is a creator-owned consortium of creator-owned comic book writers, creators, artists who are creating their own titles in a shared multiverse called the POWERVERSE. Our books are not necessarily pre-made. we are taking on people who just have an idea and a dream. And so we're building their books and this connected, shared multiverse together from the ground up on basically shoestring budgets and your pledges for the Kickstarters. So your Kickstarters have kickstarted. That's exactly what they're for. They have kickstarted so many titles now that are being worked on and developed, and will soon to come out. Actually, a great deal of 2017's Kickstarters are all going to drop in January. You're going to get all the physical releases, all the digital releases, and the physical releases are starting to come out right after that. So everything you pledged for, thank you, in 2017 is dropping in January. That is awesome. Yeah, Powerverse. And you are helping make a brand new universe, man, of creators who've come together to make a collective universe, a shared open source universe. That means you guys can come into it too. Just you got to hit us up. But right now, what we have enough titles. We need to focus on the titles we have, and they are great. And this January will be a milestone where we actually catch up on all our old titles, and we focus on the new titles that played a part in getting some of our Kickstarters over the line. What do I mean by that? Well, we have a couple of Kickstarters where if you pledge a certain amount, we would help you develop your book, your logo, and your Kickstarter, and to try to generate enough money to help you finish it, or get far enough through that with your own finances and maybe help here and there, you can get your book out. Okay, those guys are called Dime 19 right now. A lot of these guys decide they want to be the same dime. And if you don't know what the dime is, or a dime is, in the Powerverse has these things called dimes, dimensionalities. And there's 10 known dimes. They're like realities. And each of the realities has like its own earth and everything else. And this is made this way so that titles can exist in their own realities, and they don't necessarily have to follow the rules of this book or that book, but they're still connected because there's interconnectivity between the dimes through technology, and mostly through this thing called Weaver Metal. Weaver Metal is like our adamantium in the Powerverse. In its natural state, it is one of the sharpest metals there is. It's called Weaver Metal because its edge can get so defined that it can cut through or in between atomic structures. It's almost as though it weaves its way between atoms, hence its name, Weaver Metal. Now, if you give it the proper charge and power, it can actually cut through time and space. And what's happening in the Powerverse is that they're able to make this technology from this metal called Weaver Gates. And the Weaver Gates use this metal to cut portals into other dimes, other dimensions. And this technology starts to become prolific, commonplace, and popularized, and people start using and commercialized, and people start using Weaver Gates, and companies that, one company in particular called Greater Than Less Than, who's starting to license this technology out as a means of transportation. And people are starting to use Weaver Gate technologies to interdimensional vacation, to interdimensional travel, to do interdimensional commerce and trade through Weaver Gates. Some Weaver Gates are in the atmosphere of worlds. Some are downtown, in the middle of downtown, as gates like archways. There's like little companies and storefronts like tanning salons where you can go into a booth and there's like a small Weaver Gate. You can go through a Weaver Gate to another reality. It's almost like bus stations and terminals. And so even though the dimes are separate, right, they're all connected through this Weaver Gate technology. So it's a connected multiverse. Now how cool is that, right? That's the freaking Powerverse, right? So during our last few Kickstarters, we had a couple of people who pledged, get their comics created, and these guys have come up with some really great concepts, all in Dime 19. We also have the second wave. We have waves in the Powerverse because the Powerverse, all the connectivity was possible because of the events that happened in The Legend of Willpower issue 1. Something with the matter density wave, it happens to go off, and what it does is it thins the barriers between all the independent realities. It thins them enough where the Weaver metal can break through and cause this connectivity. Okay, so there's 10 known dimes, and all of a sudden there's a 19. There's actually dimes that exist, like dime 11, 12, 13, 14. These dimes have not yet opened up. There's something about them, and then there's something called dime 19. Dime 19 is where the new guys are, and they have some awesome stuff. And I can tell you, you should look forward to what they're producing, which is going to come out in the latter half of this year. The creators include Kelvin Celsius, Talon Bray, Jamil Lessie, Onaji Rose, Damon Waldron, Dan Sheehan, Bradley Dorn. Some of the guys from the first or second wave are Dwayne Welch and Lawrence James King. So those guys are coming from wave 2. And the first guys I told you are coming from wave 3. And why it's a wave is as that matter density wave extends out, it's hitting different realities in waves. And it's inviting those realities into the Powerverse. So your studio, your universe is probably out there. It may have not been hit by the wave yet, but if you call us and want to be a part of the Powerverse, then we'll explain how the wave hits your reality, and you're a part of the Powerverse as well. Okay, so that's why we call them waves. But yeah, those guys have some great titles. I would tell you, definitely look forward to them. Now, on to I guess news. That's right. This is the Powerverse InfoCast news section. This is where we tell you what's going on, or what we think is what's going on, or what we like to highlight. And I can tell you some things that I think are kind of interesting that I'm considering news. The big merger that took place. Marvel, Fox, actually Disney, Fox. Dang. Disney now owns Marvel, Pixar, Fox, Star Wars. Gosh, these guys, they don't quit, do they? They are going to be the freaking iconic American iconic house of ideas, right? For the next 10, 15 years until, the Powerverse supersedes them. Or we're bought up. Hey, look, write me a check. Anyway, yeah, man, they have Fox now. Disney has bought Fox, which has certain properties that Marvel wanted to get back. And so I think there's going to be a great deal of merging now, and it's probably going to be beneficial to the Infinity Wars movie that's coming along. People didn't think they were going to pull it together, but it looks like obviously they have. And I have to say, man, I am a big fan of the Marvel movies. They have done a top-notch job on a great deal, if not all, most of the movies, for sure. I am a huge, huge fan of the Captain America series. My favorite thus far is Winter Soldier. Um, I thought the first Captain America was great as well. The way they depict him fighting and the character, his progression from the campy suit to something that's more real and tactical. Once he transferred from just being a symbol to an actual soldier, they started using his potential. His costume changed and progressed with that. Um, the way they had him hook up with Falcon, I thought was cool. I mean, I am so proud, such a fan. Oh my God, I would never forget that scene. There's so many great scenes, but one is where he's fighting. He jumps out of the plane to get on the boat, and he gets on that boat and he starts taking out the guys one by one. Oh my gosh, classic Cap. I mean, if it's not classic Cap, they made it classic Cap, right? Another for Winter Soldier, where he has to fight Winter Soldier in the street, and he's fighting him with a knife, and he loses his shield. He gets his shield back. It gets stuck in a van, and they're fighting. I mean, that fight scene, that is like some 007 spy stuff, man. Best thing I've seen in a while. The elevator scene where he has to fight all the agents who are turning on him. The whole Hydra thing. It being submerged and it being so pervasive within the government. Oh man, it reminds me of things that are happening now. It hits to like the Illuminati, Freemasons, and things like that. That movie, those chain of movies are just awesome. Um, I can't give it any more kudos than what I just have. Uh, but on with that, they are freaking me out with Black Panther. Oh my gosh. I'm looking at the Black Panther trailers and I'm watching the response and everyone is losing their mind. And I know why. I know why. I really believe that Black Panther is going to usher in a new wave of what I would call Afrofuturism. A new way, a new black wave of characters and people feeling comfortable with characters who are black and people of color, uh, and their storylines and their histories and their mythologies. Black Panther takes you from the cliffs of the ceremonial cliffs of Wakanda, where they're dancing in a waterfall to drums, to a Wakanda aerial vessel that we have no idea how it flies, so it's probably using vibranium some kind of way, to, it looks like the challenge for the throne, to fights in New York traffic ways. This movie, the trailer looks phenomenal. And I love the first choice of music that they had on the first one with Run the Jewels. Oh my God, that beat was just unbelievable. It's kind of hard for me to see how they can make this movie crappy. I mean, just because of the elements alone. But these elements, the reason why they're so geek friendly and why they're so just they want to suck you in is because it's a mythology we have not seen before. This is Afrofuturism. We have seen everything else. We have seen European knights and swords and dragons and wizards. We've seen Japanese shogun and ninjas and fighting styles and all this stuff. We've seen even movies with leprechauns and Irish mythology and space mythology, Conan, and we've seen barbaric mythology, all that stuff. We've seen it all. But what we have not seen on the big screen is Afrofuturism, Afro mythology. And it proves, just the trailer alone, if the movie sucks, which I don't think it will, I pray it won't. The trailer alone proves that Afrofuturism is a whole new sci-fi genre, fantasy genre that we have not tapped in at all. I'm talking about brothers standing on the mountaintop with the spears glowing and the body tattoos shining as the clouds open up and this igneous rock, black as God, comes down with tattoos glowing and touches homeboy's dreadlocks and imbues him with the power of thunder. Something like that, you know what I'm saying? And you cut 2,000 years to the future and he's still living in New York. Modern day supermarketing exec. But he's something like a new Highlander. People that are after him are from Africa or African descent with African gods and demigods and mythology. Oh my God. Caribbean voodoo, all, you know, with the sci-fi twist, you know. Come on. I want to see stuff where they get witch doctors that bless like a whole dude's arsenal. You know, they take all his guns and bullets and they throw chicken blood and feed on it and they dance around and homeboy picks up the guns and, you know, he holds them and you can feel like the ghost of, you know, so many years of oppression and slavery and freaking African kings looking down on homeboy. And he goes out, just, you know, and he's the new John Wick. Okay, he's the new John. When he's taking dudes out in the hallway, in the elevator hallway, like Neo in the Matrix, there's African drums playing. He's shooting, Panthers jumping out, and the spirits, you know. Come on now, I'm talking about a whole new genre we have not seen. I am so I am so sure this is going to launch something brand new for the American society, and it's going to give other ethnic groups the same chance later on. Right now, it is going to be Afrofuturism. It is going to be on some what was homeboy's name? Afro Samurai. You know, brother man, black exploitation taken to fantasy type Afrofuturism tip. And I think it's going to start a whole new era in comics and media and film. Why? I told you why. It's new. We are living in a digital age. The digital age means nothing without content. All the digital age means is that we have the means. We have the digital means to bring you content. But they need the content. They have the means, but now we need the content. And now we have brand new content providers, a whole new tapped ecosystem of creators, untapped ecosystem of creators, a whole new untapped ecosystem of culture, belief, science fiction, memes that has not been seen or done. You got characters like Idris Elba playing characters like in The Dark Tower, okay? You got what now they're doing Will Smith's new movie Bright that came out on Netflix. I liked it for what it was. I thought it was short on some of the elements. They did not make the world. And actually the next InfoCast I'll go into Bright. But you have a black lead character dealing with fantasy. I tell you, this is going to be the trend. This is going to crack open something new. You got Black Panther. You got Black Lightning coming out. You had Cyborg in the Justice League, who was one of the best characters on the screen. People are clamoring for him to have his own show. You got Netflix doing Raising Dion, an indie title being picked up by Netflix about a black superhero. You got Taraji Henson, or whatever her name is, doing Proud Mary, a black female assassin. Very similar to what we got, Victoria Black. And you got Milestone coming back. Okay? They're talking about I think there's also a Static Shock coming, and there's a Miles Morales 3D movie that's coming out. This is the next wave. This is the next thing that's going to happen. And I kid you not, if Dwayne Johnson runs and becomes president, that's another thing. That's another thing. But I'm telling you, this is a new wave. This is a new wave. You got independent creators such as myself who are trying to pull black creators, and creators from all over, but I'm also trying to pull black creators together. Like Andre Batts, Roosevelt Pitt, Jerry Hines, the creator of The Brother, characters like Lucius Hammer, Brian Marcus Williams. We're trying to pull these characters together to show that, hey, these characters have merit. They have girth. They are characters that are a part of our culture on a indie level that have a fan base as well. They are the new content for the new series, this new stream or bandwidth that's going to be available to us if net neutrality doesn't kill it all, which they're definitely trying to make happen for sure. But yes, I think this will start something new. Will Power, Pink Hammer, Jay Kelly, creator of The Brother. Oh my gosh. We can go on and on and on. And I think that it will lead to something brand spanking new. But I mean, there's tons of creators out there who Tony Cottrell, who have created, characters of color and are not afraid to promote those characters. The creator of the Midnight Tiger, the other guy that created Molly Danger, she's a mixed child. I mean, these are awesome characters. Pink Wing and Prime Controller. These short characters of color. These things are great characters. A gentleman that contacted me the other day with Hotshot. Hotshot is a character of color, and they're not ashamed of having these characters, and they treat these characters like any other character. So I think that is awesome, and I think that they should not be shy and they should go forward. And I believe that this will be a year where all types of fans will get a chance to read and enjoy characters of color. That being said, the Powerverse has all types of characters from all types of creators from all types of countries. Okay, that's something that we pride ourselves in. We really are trying to reach out to and everybody and make it a collective palette. When I was a kid, we taught that America was the melting pot. I don't know where that has gone. We were proud of it. We used to have cartoons where it's like a big old pot and all these different people in it. Somewhere it shifted back towards America was great, where it was mostly divided and the strength came from its division and not its amalgamation. I, I would say somewhere after the 80s, after Reagan or something like that. I don't know when it happened. When I was a young kid, all the PBAs, all the little public service announcements, all the little cartoons in between the cartoons to talk about the melting pot and how to make a bill and America and that's what it was about. I mean, we had more black shows featured on television without conflict, side by side white shows in the 70s than I see now. What do I mean? Let me break it down. Okay, you had Different Strokes, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, Benson. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 right there. Then the maid from the Jeffersons split off and got her own show. You had Flip Wilson, Sammy Davis Jr., Sidney Poitier, Richard Pryor. Shoot, we even had black cartoons. Yeah, we had the Jackson 5, Fat Albert, even the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, there was so much diversity and acceptance back then, way more than there is now. But I think that, the patriotism that was fueled especially it grew even more during President Obama's presidency. I guess because people just became freaked out. They didn't know what to say. They said he was a celebrity. They said he was a cult of personality. They said in the eyes of his voters, he could do no wrong. So what do? They select a celebrity, a cult of personality, who in the eyes of his supporters, he could do no wrong. Trump, I know that really tipped the scales and scared people, but I think now that the presidency is in a place where those people feel more secure, they're willing to see more diversity in entertainment. It's a sad observation, but I think it's a true one. It's like you can't have both. You can't have the presidency and dominate the entertainment industry and the sports entertainment and sports industry as well. You got to have one or the other, maybe two, but not all three. Okay, you can't have all three. So I think this will be a great year for creators of all types of backgrounds and all types of concepts. Speaking of which, that leads us to our last part, which is what's kicking on Kickstarter.
What's kicking on Kickstarter?
All right, we've got 2 awesome things happening right now on Kickstarter. My man, Nigel Flood, Ireland creator extraordinaire, has created his baby, The Globalist. The Globalist is an amazing concept. It is basically in 910, his Earth decided they wanted to create superhumans as a form of nuclear deterrent. And I think the first to accomplish this was like the USA, something like that. They successfully created a superhuman. And basically that launched the rest of the world into trying to keep up. And before you know it, there was a superhuman arms race. And they were sending these guys out to try to take out one another. And the superhumans finally said, you know what? We can bring more peace through unity than man can with all of his wars and politics. And it led these superhumans, these national representatives or representative superhumans, to basically form a coup and their own and one super team called the Globalists. And these guys conquer all the freaking nations, subjugate them, and put them under the rule of the UN, which they run. The superhumans run the UN. And so now we officially have a one world government under the globalists, of these superhero rulers. There's no more crime. There's no more poverty. You know, they have cured the ills that ails men and mankind, but with some heavy costs. The globalists have outlawed religion, outlawed a great deal of things, one of them being multiple languages. They've unified all the languages into something called Esperanto, which was a real thing proposed by the United Nations, I think, or the League of Nations back in the day. They wanted to basically unify the world and give the world one language again. Tower of Babel type stuff. And the globalists pull it off. The people, see not having strength and strong leaders would accept anything as strength. They love these guys. They follow them like sheeple. And only a small percentage look at this and say, hey, something's wrong here in their eyes. And they form a resistance. And that resistance is fueled from individuals from all over the globe, normal humans. They form basically a top-notch counter terrorist sort of group, and they're like a G.I. Joe. And they are fighting these superpowered beings, the globalists, sort of tooth and nail here and there, slightly in the shadows. It's kind of hard to fight superhumans who can lift freaking tanks and fly and shoot eye beams, but they're trying, right? They're trying. And this is what the story is about. Nigel is very careful to not pick a side. He's just putting the information out there as is. He lets the reader, figure out whose side they are. The globalists, they have proven to get rid of poverty and, greed and crime and all this stuff. And they did. But it's with an iron rule. But is that necessary? Who knows? You got to pick up the titles to find out for sure. That Kickstarter ends in like 20 days. If you pledge now. Pledge now. The money will not come off your card until the campaign ends, and that's only if we meet goal. All your pledged dollars are helping us get these titles together. You are making a freaking difference. You are changing history with the Powerverse. So I know those who are like wondering what is going on, why is it taking so long? It's because literally we are building this thing from scratch, and the books and pages are coming together. And like I said, you're going to get all the material, all the digital material, the PDFs, the books, everything in January. So it's all coming, folks, and you are on the ground floor. You are on the ground floor, and when the rest of the world catches on to this, you'll have the first copies. You'll be able to tell your story of how it happened, and that you were there and you were one of the supporters. Next up is Victoria Black. Oh my God! I think Taraji Henson must have lifted this script. I kid you not. Victoria Black is about an assassin, a female assassin, the world's best assassin. She's female, she's a sister, and she's highly deadly. She found the dream that every woman wants to find: love, marriage, children, the quiet house with the white picket fence. She found it, and she wanted to pull herself out of the game. She didn't want to be a world-renowned assassin anymore. She has a man and she has a child to take care of. But as you know, the deeper you go in, the harder it is for you to get out. And the powers that be, not the comic book, but those behind the scenes, they just can't let an asset like that go. Because one, it's valuable, it can be used again, and two, it knows too much. It either has to continue working or it has to be terminated. And this sparks a revengeance tale unlike the which I have ever seen in my life. Pledge for Victoria Black. Get your copy today. And remember, these books are being put together. They're coming out. They're gorgeous. Join the POWERVERSE private group. You'll see a lot of the page work of these books that are being posted there in the private group. Look us up on Facebook. Find us online at thepowerverse.com. Look at our YouTube channel. You can check out our videos where we explain like the universe, our characters, powers, all that types of stuff. And you can also watch and download, if you have the downloader, our POWERVERSE Info Cast from our YouTube channel. So that's it, Power Peeps. I think we covered everything. It has been a joy and a pleasure to build this reality together. I apologize to all those who I have not got back to in time or chatted with or whatever. We are so busy. And as you know, I've been a one-man show for so long. I'm just now, I've been doing all the logos, all the lettering, all the pagination, all the branding, script writing, contract signing, all of it, right? I'm just now getting some release. My boy Jerry Hines over there in Singapore, creator of Supercross. Y'all don't even know nothing about that yet. Just wait till it comes out. Creator of Supercross has started to help me. Nigel, Flood, Rodney, Genetium, and Chris Ward have been great helps. And now we're starting to get dime managers, people who are overlooking the dimes themselves. It started to loosen me up a little bit, give me some leeway. I'm currently lettering Blackout, Roosevelt Pitt's awesome, freaking mind-blowing title. So it can be done and ready for release in January, as will be Chess, POM, Marvelous. In January, you're going to get what's dropping is Blackout, if I can get the letters done, which I think I can. Blackout, POM, Chess, and Marvelous. All dropping. American Dreams and Cerberus are American Dreams is midway through getting the book lettered, recolored, and lettered. It hasn't started lettering yet, but it's almost done coloring. And Cerberus is on a back burner. It is going to get done. The script is finalized. So we have some page work done. The artist got sick. The creator got sick. And we are going to pull that together. So I think American Dreams will definitely come out before Cerberus. I'm thinking you're going to see that in January, February, March or April at the latest, but probably in March. So everything from last year will definitely be out by March at the latest. A majority of it coming out in January with a scrambler in March. So we thank you. We definitely thank you. You guys have just kept us fueled. You've asked us great questions. You've played on the POWERVERSE bullpen. You've given us likes. You've shared our posts. You've pledged to all of our Kickstarters. And for that, we are eternally grateful. We thank you for the faith, the favor, and the fulfillment of all that you have touched and shared. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and all the creators Once again, we thank you for watching the POWERVERSE Info Cast. That wraps up another episode. This is your host, Vince White, Editor-in-Chief of the POWERVERSE. And until next time, remember, be powerful. The POWERVERSE
InfoCast.